Hey guys, Omni here. So I just got back from seeing DC's League of Super Pets. I have to say that, from the trailers for this film, I thought it looked fine. I thought it looked like your average kid fare. And, I was a little bored today and I thought, I need to get out of the house, or at least I wanted to. Let's go check it out. And I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised by this film. I found it, and maybe it's because I am a DC fan, I found this really enjoyable. I really loved the way they kind of built out this world and incorporated it into the story itself. I found the jokes clever, and the way they kind of made these jokes, one about the dynamics of the relationships and the thoughts and perception of like pets and their observations of this world, their observations of the relationships between them, their owners, their prospective owners, the lives they live. I found it really clever, and especially particularly the way they incorporated that into the DC world itself. There are so many interesting Easter eggs and nuggets and jokes and self-referential and remarks that they make, and even some jabs they take at themselves, which I found really fun, and it kept the mood and the tone quite light throughout the whole thing. For the obvious pet perspective on it, I found this also surprisingly emotional. Maybe coming it from that pet angle, a lot of the ways they kind of see things, to talk about things, the lengths at which they go for to kind of get through the obstacles and ahead of them, and their mindsets, man, it just really hit me in the emotional chords here and there. I'm not even going to lie. I found myself laughing out loud at a couple of jokes. It definitely got some verbal chuckles out of me and a couple other people in the audience, which surprisingly enough, there were 0 kids in my showing. So I just really enjoyed it. And like the humor, of course, not all of it lands, but there's enough in this that it does that it really just had me smiling ear to ear throughout the entire thing. Kate McKinnon as the villain in this was just enjoyable to watch. And I gotta say that Kevin Hart is the one that surprised me the most in this, because he kind of plays against type as he plays Ace the Bat Hound in this. And, like Batman, who surprisingly enough also gets the most laughs out of me, anytime Keanu Reeves is on screen, who is voicing Batman in this, every word out of his mouth is hilarious. But Kevin Hart as Ace kind of plays against the kind of characters that we're used to Kevin Hart playing. He is kind of the straight man in this group. He's the one that has these serious monologues every now and then. Of course, he has some quips here and there, but he's not the typical, they're not even like delivered in the typical Kevin Hart style. And I found him very gripping and one of the more interesting characters in this, especially playing off of Dwayne Johnson's Crypto, who is kind of like you're just like, you're white bread in this movie. He's got his own little arc that he goes on as he's kind of getting a little jealous of Clark and the growing closeness of his relationship with Lois, and where does that leave him with his best friend if he's spending more time with his lady, and where does that go from there? And that's kind of the crux of the whole thing until the whole villain aspect of it breaks in and the Justice League is taken out, and it's up to Crypto and his little team that he meets along the way, to them to save the day and to step into the place and fill those shoes. And the way that all unfolds is done in a really interesting, fun, and clever way. And I gotta say that I found it really enjoyable. And throughout, like Superman, talking about voices and stuff like that, there's a pretty star-studded cast in this. I couldn't quite place the voice. I was like, wow, this is a really good voice for Superman, but I can't pin it until I got to the credits, and it was John Krasinski, and I was like, holy crap, he has a very good Superman voice. But yeah, man, I gotta say, most of the supporting cast I found pretty enjoyable, but the standout was Natasha Lyonne's, what was that character? Merton the Turtle. That character always got a laugh out of me, and a lot of the more adult jokes come from this character, and this character is unapologetically trying to smash throughout most of the movie. And the way that these things kind of play out and the scenarios around them, because I don't want to get into too many spoilers in case anybody wants to go out and check it out, they're pretty freaking hilarious, and I found them quite enjoyable. I didn't realize also that that this was Chip, that Diego Luna was playing Chip. In the trailers we see It's a little squirrel that gets the lightning powers. One of my favorite DC characters, to be honest, in there. And I didn't realize it was the one and the same until later into it. So there's some surprises, some turns in this that I found pretty interesting. And mostly because this film really let itself steep itself within the DC universe and had fun with it. Like, there's so many jokes. You only really get it if you're familiar with the DC universe and the way it operates, the way it's operated in the past, and some of the pitfalls that is very common to specifically DC. It's really enjoyable. I thought the animation was pretty solid. I like the art style throughout. The Justice League, of course, I know people have their qualms with some of the character designs. In the movie itself, I didn't think anything of it. There's some really clever ways that they play with the Justice League, and I really did enjoy that, especially with the villains, especially with the story and how it progresses. And again, where it kind of just hits you in the feels when you're just least expecting it. And there's a few running gags that kind of make some recurrences throughout it that I found pretty interesting as well. This movie, honestly, it's not perfect, but as far as kids fare goes, this was above average for me. And a lot of that might be from my DC bias, because there was a lot in this that I feel like if you weren't a DC fan at all, might go over your head just a little bit, or just might not land for you at all. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about seeing this film. I think if you take your kids out to it, I think they will just, at surface level, just have fun with the entire journey. It has some great moments and quips through that, and just like another kids movie that came out earlier this year, there is an orange cat that almost steals the show for a hot minute, even from the stars, which was a great sequence. But I enjoyed the film, pleasantly surprised. Maybe it was because I went in with really low bar, but I had a good time. And I can't wait for this to come out to stream. I'm not going to go back to the theater to watch again, but I would happily watch this movie again just to kind of see all the fun things in the background and just to kind of run through the gamut with it again. But guys, have you seen it? What did you think? Sound off the comments. Let me know your thoughts down below. We'll carry on the conversation after the video. Feel free to join our Discord. We could talk about it there as well. Links to that in all my social description box below. Follow me in each and every one of those. Before you go, I want to shout out our channel legends: Manny Sherritt, Ryan, Karen, Jason Coleman, Philly Vane, Yori Corey Scott, Margaret Grace, Mary Bradley, Melita, Robert Anguiano, Cal Kestis Nation, and Raven McCann. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. But that's it for this video, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care, everybody.